What does repairing a truck have to do with managing wildlife? It's wildlife mechanics, the tools that drive the resource.
Hey, you guys, I wouldn't worry about fishing there. There aren't any fish. Fish and Game doesn't know how to manage that river.
Dad, you work for Fish and Game. How come that guy's mad at you?
Connor, it seems like everybody has an opinion on how to manage fish and wildlife. It certainly isn't an easy job.
How do you manage fish and wildlife?
Well, I guess the easiest answer is that fish and wildlife biologists try to make sure there's not too many animals or too few.
There can't be too few trout in this river. We caught a bunch and released them.
You're right, Katie, there's plenty of trout in this river. I think our fisherman friend just had a bad day. I've had plenty of those myself. It's the salmon I'm worried about. There's a lot fewer salmon here than there used to be. Hey, I got an idea. We're doing some research on salmon right up the road. Why don't we go take a look?
Research? Yuck. Research sounds boring. I want to see a bunch of geeks who might coast them through microscopes.
Can't we just stay here and catch another big trout, Mr. March?
Come with me and I'll show you some of the biggest fish you'll ever see. And I'll show you that research can be really exciting.
Hey, mister. My dad said we're going to see some really big fish. Want to follow us?
Sure, may as well. Nothing going on here.
Whoa! Why aren't we catching these?
Because there's not very many of them left in this river. Do you know what we call a species when their populations get extremely low?
You mean when there's too few of them? Endangered?
That's right. This is the Chinook salmon, and they're endangered here. When this fish was just a kid like you, it lived in the stream and was only this long. Then it swam all the way to the ocean.
All the way to the ocean? How far is that?
900 miles.
That's right. It would be like driving from Chicago to New Orleans or from Seattle to San Francisco. Do you think you could swim that far?
No way! Whoa, that was cool!
And after about 3 years, they swim all the way back, here to the same stream where they started as eggs.
How did they find their way home?
In fact, they smell their way back.
Come on, how do you know that?
Research! We study salmon so we can make good decisions on how to manage them to get more fish back. Let me show you some of the research we're doing right here. Here's one thing we do with these salmon. We check to see if they have a passive integrated transponder or pit tag.
A what?
A pit tag. Remember how I told you about the salmon starting here as little kids? Well, we actually call them smolts. A tiny computer chip is inserted under their skin. With that computer chip, we can determine what the journey to and from the ocean was like and what may have happened to them along the way.
So does this fish have a pit tag?
Let's check. Yep. Okay, let's put him back into the river.
Will all this research save salmon from being endangered?
We don't know. There are a lot of other factors involved. But without research, we wouldn't begin to know how to save the salmon. One thing we do know is that this river has the carrying capacity to hold a lot more of these fish. Well, back to work for me.
Goodbye, Mr. Patterson. Thank you.
Come on, you guys, let's go.
Carrying capacity. What's that?
Carrying capacity. All habitat has carrying capacity. It's the number of animals that a habitat can carry. You all know what habitat is, don't you?
Food, water, shelter, and space. We've known that forever, Dad.
Well, good. Mr. Patterson knows from his research that this river has not reached its carrying capacity yet. At one time, there used to be a lot more fish here. We're trying to manage it so there'll be more salmon here again.
Can you have too many salmon or other animals for the habitat?
Sure, sometimes wildlife can go over its carrying capacity. Hey, how much water could you put in this bucket?
A bucket full.
So what happens when you begin to fill it past a bucket full?
It overflows everywhere.
Okay, well, a habitat with too much wildlife can overflow too.
What happens to the overflowing animals?
Well, if they don't get enough food, water, shelter, or space, they may die. That's especially important in the winter months when wildlife has a harder time finding food.
Do you research that too?
Yeah.
We're going to go out today and catch some mule deer fawns for our winter mortality study. We're going to use a helicopter to go out and find some mule deer fawns and run them into these big long nets that we've set up.
Will they get hurt?
Oh no, the nets are designed to fall down as soon as the deer hit them, and they're pretty tough. These fawns are bigger than you think. In fact, most of them are bigger than you are.
Bigger than I am? I thought those little spotted fawns were puny.
Well, they were last spring when they were born, but now 6 months later, they might weigh up to 80 or 90 pounds.
What do you do when you catch them?
Come with me, I'll show you. You guys ready to go to work?
Us?
Sure, we can use all the help we can get.
Okay.
Helicopter 206, 303. Over here.
82.
He's going to try to guide them with the helicopter into the net. Go, go, go! On that there. Okay, hold on to those forelegs, okay? Put your head right there, okay? Okay, hold that. If it starts moving, if it starts moving, you push your head down and just squeeze on tight.
What's the collar for?
We're going to use this radio collar to track where this deer moves. It also has a signal in it that will tell us if it stops moving. And if it stops moving for a period of time, we're going to know that it died. If we get a signal like that that suggests the deer's dead, we can go in on the ground and try to figure out what killed it. Keep the tension on that. Lift it up.
Why are you weighing it?
We're weighing the fawns because it gives us a pretty good indication of what condition the winter range is in. Let's see. Pull it the whole way off the ground, and when it's clear, girls, can you read that for me? What's that say?
80.
80 pounds.
Wow, it does weigh more than me.
The weight of the deer is probably one of the best indicators to tell us whether or not the fawn is likely to survive the winter.
Ready? Go.
Helicopter, we're ready for more. More deer! More deer! Everybody down!
Here they come. Shh.
I'm going to go ahead and put this radio collar on now. Anybody tell me why we do this?
So you can keep track of it and tell when it dies?
Right.
They're huge and very strong.
Okay, that's the way you do it.
How does finding out what kills a deer help you manage deer?
Some people think that predators are the main reasons that fawns die, and sometimes that's true. But we've learned from our research that sometimes fawns are dying from predators because they're weak and malnourished. And that sounds like a habitat problem, not a predator problem.
If it's a habitat problem, it would affect the carrying capacity of deer, right?
Whoa, you two really do know your stuff. Say, are you two thinking of being biologists someday?
Yeah!
What did you two learn about wildlife management?
Well, you guys have to get up really early.
It's cold and it's really hard work.
But it's very cool. Whoa! Dad? Ouch! What are you doing under there? What happened to you two? Us? What happened to you guys?
I can't get my truck started. I don't know anything about these things.
Having trouble?
Yeah, you know anything about trucks?
Yeah.
Feel free to have a look, thanks. What about you guys? Did you learn anything?
Yeah, well, my uncle says we have a lot less deer now because of predators, but we learned that a lot of times when prey is caught by predators, it's because they're weak, and that's a habitat problem.
That's why research is so important. We can't afford to guess about wildlife. I wouldn't want to guess about wildlife any more than I would about my own health. If you were sick, you wouldn't want the doctor to guess what was wrong with you, would you?
Heck no. That's why they go to school for a bazillion years, so they don't have to.
Wildlife managers have had a lot of training and a bazillion years of college and experience. They feel just as responsible about wildlife as a doctor does about your health.
So with all this research going on, wildlife management must be pretty easy, right?
Research is never easy, as you discovered with the mule deer. But science isn't the hardest part anymore. It's people.
I've got a few tools along. I think I can fix this.
Great.
What do you mean, people?
Well, for one thing, we have a lot more people than we used to, and that's going to affect habitat. As human populations grow, they replace wildlife habitat with human habitat. We need habitat for both wildlife and humans, but somehow we have to find a balance.
Can you research that too?
What do you think?
Ew! That stinks! Stink is good. That's what brings the bears in.
Bears?
That's right. You guys are gonna help us set a trap for one.
Why would we want to catch a bear?
Let me guess. Research.
Yup. Then it's time to get to work. Grab a pair of gloves and let's get a start on the snare.
Are you two biologists?
You bet. We both have bazillion years of school and lots of experience trapping bears. Hey, you guys know why the chicken crossed the road. Do you know why the bear crossed the road?
To get to the other side?
Right. However, we're not trying to figure out why the bear crosses the road. We're more interested in how and where.
Is this something that helps you manage animals?
Yep. As more people move into the area, they create more traffic, which means more injuries to both bears and humans. So we're trying to find a better way for bears to cross the road. But first, we need to know where and how often they cross.
So what's the plan? Are you gonna ask it when you catch one?
And how are you going to catch it anyway?
Well, what did you guys think of that smell?
Unbearable.
Well, that's what brings in the bears. They can smell this stuff from a mile away, and they love to eat this stinking stuff. And they'll come down our path to get to the goods. They'll step on our snare, and boom, we've got them.
And then you're going to ask it where it crosses the road.
No, we're going to use a GPS, or global positioning system.
Whoa, look at that!
Wow, there's a bear in our trap.
Looks like an adult black bear.
Whoa! What do we do now?
This is a jab stick that has a syringe on the end with a drug in it, and it'll put the bear to sleep before we work on it.
That's good.
What's that for?
This is a tooth extractor,
What would you want a tooth for?
so we can get an estimate of the bear's age. Did you know that inside the bear's tooth are rings, just like a tree?
I'm glad it's asleep. Whoa, that collar's a lot different than the one we put on the mule deer fawns.
It is different. It's a GPS collar. The highway department has built some special trails under the highway so that bears and other wildlife can more easily cross the road. So bears wearing the GPS collar are tracked by satellites in the sky, and we can learn how often they're using these special trails.
Will this help keep bears and people safer?
We hope so. That's why we're doing this research project. More and more people are moving into this area. And as more people move into wildlife's habitat, it becomes more difficult for us to manage for both. Now I've got to get this collar on this black bear.
Hey girls, it's time for you two to get out of here.
Why, is the bear gonna wake up soon?
He sure is. Oh no.
Here we go again.
Whoa!
What happened to you two?
We had a great adventure.
And we know we had more fun than you did. Did you get the car started yet, Dad?
Not yet, but I think we're in luck. Mr. Crank here's a mechanic. So what'd you learn this time?
Well, we found out that wildlife management isn't always about bringing populations back.
Where we were, black bears were doing great. They had a healthy population.
So what was the problem?
Although the research says that there's plenty of room for black bears, many people actually think that there are too many bears.
That's what I mean when I say that science isn't the hardest part about wildlife management anymore. Sometimes, no matter how good the research, not everybody can agree about the best way to manage wildlife.
But you guys are the experts, not them.
I know, but managing wildlife isn't fair or easy, but then either is working on a car. Hey, how'd you do that?
Well, the oxygen sensor was loose from the exhaust manifold and it wasn't sending a signal to the injectors, so I just tightened it up and it fired right up.
Huh? I don't know what you just said, but I couldn't have figured that out in a million years.
Well, most people think that it's easy fixing cars, but I've been a mechanic for years and it takes a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge.
Dad, that's sort of like wildlife management.
Yeah, I guess it is. Just like I've learned over the years how to take care of cars, I guess wildlife biologists have learned how to take care of wildlife.
Thanks for fixing our car, Mr. Crank.
You're welcome, young lady, and sir, I'll make a deal with you. I'll take care of your car, you take care of our wildlife.
You betcha. what I mean when I say that sometimes science isn't the hardest thing about wildlife management anymore. Brain dead.
Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine. You're not filming this, are
No,
you?
not yet. I'm not.
Good.
But finish the song though, that's good. Stand by. And action.
Yep, and it's
Hold on
time
just a
to...
minute, stand by.
That was going to be a good one, too. That was the best so far. It'll take 5 more takes.
Okay.
Question about the radio collar.
What's the collar for?
What do you dance? Aren't you listening?
And action.
Hey girls, it's time for you two to get out of here.
One thing we do know, why can't I remember that part of it?
Having trouble?
Yeah, you know anything about trucks?
Yeah.
Well, have free to look at a looker or something like that.
Will they get hurt?
Oh no, the deer are gonna just screw around and fall down and everything will be fine.
And action.
What happened to you two?
Ah, dang.
Oh, Mr. Sun, Sun, Mr. Golden Sun, please shine down on me.
It's not working.
It's